What's up, everybody? Thanks for pressing play today. In today's episode of Nerd Nostalgia, you're going to catch me, Irvin, doing the first installment of Rumors Are Us. So what is Rumors Are Us? It's basically going to be me discussing different rumors going on in the Nerd Nation at the moment. So that can be anything from books, movies, TV shows, video games. I'll dissect whatever that rumor is and try to give you as much insight and as much knowledge as I may have on the topic so you guys can make your own judgment call at the end of the day. I hope you enjoy the episode. There is no sneak peek. We're going to play the intro and then jump right into it. Enjoy the episode, y'all. Welcome back, everybody. The main rumor that's been going around is Batman is gonna join the MCU. Say what? So what does that mean? It's basically talking about Christian Bale joining the MCU. He's definitely the hero and actor we deserve, but not the one we're necessarily looking for right now. But we will definitely take him. He can be our Dark Knight. Ha, super lame. I know. Sorry. Anyways, back to the rumor itself. The main thing with this rumor is, who is he going to play? There's so many options that Marvel can go with as far as who Christian Bale is going to play. I mean, we know he's a phenomenal actor just alone from the Dark Knight trilogy. But he has a big range as far as his acting skills are concerned, and he takes it very seriously. That said, here is a list of the characters that I think he has the possibility of playing in the new movie coming up, directed by Taika Waititi's Thor: Love and Thunder. The first option, we have Beta Ray Bill. See what I did there? Beta Ray Bill, Beta Ray Bill. Okay, so the character's real name is Beta Ray Bill, right? But I switched it up to Beta Ray Bill. I know, super lame. The nerd jokes are strong in this one. Alright, so let me just list off the other ones that I think he could play. Balder the Brave, that's his full name. Cull Borson, we have Gore, aka Gore the God Butcher, and we'll kind of dive into some of that. Mephisto, or Mephisto, however you want to pronounce it. And then finally, Dario Agger. I don't know how to pronounce that. So those are the people that I think he has a possibility of playing. So what I'll do is basically discuss each character, who they are, kind of their origin story, discuss some of their powers and abilities, that type of stuff. And then finally, I'll kind of cap off with why I think that they will or will not cast Christian Bale as that character. Alright, so jumping into it, let's go with Beta Ray Bill. I'm going to keep calling him that. I know, I'm a nerd. I'm sorry. I apologize. I don't. Never apologize for partying. So with Beta Ray Bill, who is he? Basically, Beta Ray Bill is this champion from a humanoid alien race called the Corbinites. The Corbinites fled from the fire giant, the god of fire, Surtur, or Surtur, however you want to pronounce it. It's basically one of Beta Ray Bill's enemies. So Beta Ray Bill was chosen as a champion of the Corbinites. He was essentially successfully transformed into this cybernetic being. It kind of resembles it's supposed to resemble like a fierce creature, right? That's the description. But essentially to me, he looks like a 6'7" horse-faced Thor. That's exactly what it is. If you've never seen what Beta Ray Bill looks like, imagine Thor with essentially a horse face, like the head of a horse, literally, not just the face of a horse, the head of a horse, and everything else is the same. Super jacked, super yoked. I mean, this dude is 6'7", 480 pounds. That's kind of big. So I wonder what his deadlift and squats are. Anyways, we don't want to get sidetracked here. So his powers and abilities, they're essentially going to be the exact same as Thor's. And so it's kind of funny how he gets these abilities. There's a little story behind that. Because his appearance is so similar to Thor's, you kind of know that he's kind of worthy, right? And so he gets to wield a special little hammer, and this is the reason that he gets these powers, really similar to Thor's. So having fled the planet of Corbin, that's where they're from, right? He and his people, they came into the Milky Way galaxy. And once they arrived there, some S.H.I.E.L.D. agents, specifically Nick Fury, identified him in our Milky Way galaxy. So Nick Fury asked Thor to go and check it out to see what's going on, right? Because it's a extraterrestrial type of event. Thor is your guy. He's an alien demigod. So he goes up there, finds Scuttlebutt, which is Beta Ray Bill's ship. He basically assesses that Beta Ray Bill is a threat, that the Corbinites are a threat, and so he engages in a fight against Beta Ray Bill. At some point during this scuffle, Thor kind of drops or loses Mjolnir, his hammer, right? The hammer, the mighty hammer of Thor. He drops it, and Beta Ray Bill goes and scoops it up, making him and deeming him worthy, right? So only the purest of the pure can have that. Super cool scene in Avengers. I mean, whenever people actually saw that in theaters, myself included, I mean, just lost our shit. People started clapping and were hyped. The only thing that would have made that scene better was if they would have put the music from Thor Ragnarok during that. But it was still a great movie. Great scene. And so I was very hyped up about that. Anyways, let me get back to Mr. Beta Ray Bill here. So fast forward a little bit. They got done fighting. He has the hammer. He's like, I'm keeping this hammer. This thing is awesome. So once he got that hammer, that's where he gets his wardrobe that matches. Essentially, he got the powers of Thor, so he got matching attire, right? Odin transports them to Asgard, and Beta Ray Bill's like, hey man, I'm going to keep this hammer. It's mine. This is what I won from war, essentially, from a battle. So Odin sends them to this fiery planet, and they kind of start duking it out again. But Odin says this is to the death. Now, the way that Beta Ray Bill is kind of built, he has an advantage being in this fire realm. And so, again, he defeats Thor. That's twice. 0-2 Thor against Beta Ray Bill in this scenario. But Beta Ray Bill, being a worthy individual and kind of a test that Odin was throwing his way, he doesn't want to kill Thor. And so, again, that makes him worthy. What Odin does to reward him is create a similar hammer called Stormbreaker. Now, some of you might be familiar with this name, Stormbreaker. That's the hammer that Thor wields in Infinity War and in Endgame. It's kind of cool when he has Mjolnir and Stormbreaker in both hands. So this leads me to my next point and kind of saddens me a little bit. But I don't think that Christian Bale is going to play this character for two main reasons. Stormbreaker being the biggest one. We've already seen this created, and we see that Thor is wielding that at the moment. So I think they're kind of getting away from Mjolnir, and they're moving specifically over to Stormbreaker. That is the new weapon of choice. I think that's what Jane Foster, hashtag spoiler warning if you didn't know this, that's what she's going to be wielding in Love and Thunder. It would be kind of cool to see two Thors, I guess, or people with Thor abilities. Second reason is we've seen kind of an Easter egg in Thor Ragnarok. Sorry, I was trying to remember which movie it was. So yeah, in Thor Ragnarok, we see actually Beta Ray Bill sculpted out in what I think is called Sakaar. I can't quite remember the name of it, but I know it starts with an S for sure. So that planet, right? There's a sculpture of a past previous warriors, they're champions, and in one of those it's actually the face of what is Beta Ray Bill. So that's another reason. I think that was just a little fan service, little Easter egg for all the geeks and nerds out there. A lot of people caught it. I want to say I caught it, but I remember reading about it for a fact afterward. So that's the second reason that I don't think that Beta Ray Bill will be the person that Christian Bale plays, sadly. Alright, moving on to the next person. We have Balder, known as Balder the Brave. Super interesting character. So who is he? He's a 6'4", 240 pound. 320 pound Asgardian. His powers, strength, abilities are really common to Asgardians. He's kind of like a tier up above Asgardians, and we'll jump into that here in a second. But, super strength, super speed, stamina, durability. Being the god of light, he does have this extra little ability as a photokinesis. So just basically emits this light and is able to, get a lot of heat from it. So that's kind of cool. He also has the ability to teleport, which kind of cool. Super useful as far as comic writing is concerned. He can just kind of go wherever he wants and travel between the 9 realms. His main weapon of choice is something, and I'm probably going to butcher this name. It's Svarden or Sverden. I'm not sure. But with this sword, he can do something kind of cool, which is basically summon it across the 9 realms, which is really similar to a weapon that we already know, right? It's eerily similar to none other than Mjolnir. Also kind of Stormbreaker too, right? But Mjolnir specifically. That said, guess who his brother is? Or half-brother. It's actually Thor. So he's Balder the Brave, Odin's son. Right? That's how they go. That's how they identify their last names. So why half-brother? What's going on there, right? Who's the bastard? What's going on? Super interesting little tidbit here. Thor is his half-brother. They're both Odin's sons. So that's kind of cool, right? They have the same dad. but they have different moms. Baldur's mom is Frigga, or Freya, however you want to pronounce it, depending on however it's written, whatever the case. And so we also know that Thor's mom is also Freya. However, turns out that that's not who his real mom is. His birth mother was Gaia, or Jord. Is it Jord or Jord? Because I know the J's do the Y thing sometimes. I don't know. Whatever. So that's who his real mom is, right? We're just going to go with Gaia. That's what makes him a half-brother. So you're probably wondering, you're like, Irvin, why did you want to disclose that information? I don't care about Thor's stepmom and mom and, his uncle's brother's triple cousin removed. What do I care? You don't. You should, though, because it's super interesting. And the reason why I believe that Christian Bale will not, I repeat, will not be playing Baldur the Brave. The reason is, two reasons, really. The first reason is that that's his half-brother. In Thor Ragnarok, we saw them pull the, this is your long-lost sister act. They even pulled Hela, I think is what they called her, right? And kind of combined her with a different character, but, that's a whole nother thing. And so I don't think that they're going to come back and slide back and be like, we're going to do this again. This is your long-lost brother, not your long-lost sister. It's way different. No. I don't think they're going to pull that mess. So I think that's one of the reasons you can cross this person off of the list. Second has to do with a little bit of Norse mythology and also plays into Marvel. With Baldur the Brave, aka Baldur, basically his death is prophesized to be the trigger to Ragnarok, the destruction of Asgard. And so what do we already know? That already happened. And so they kind of sprinkled in a little bit of Baldur stuff in there that Ragnarok was supposed to happen as far as prophecies were concerned. So that kind of, just basically seals the deal for me and eliminates this person as the character that Christian Bale is going to play. Although it would have been cool to kind of see that, but we already saw that kind of story and arc happen. So on the topic of relatives of Thor and Odin, let's move on to the next character. We're going with Cole Borson. You're like, whoa, who the heck is Cole Borson? That, as basically, long story short, that is Thor's uncle Odin's brother, older brother, I might add. There's a lot of lore there. It's super interesting. Personally, I love diving down the rabbit hole. I love getting into rumors. I love finding out extra little tidbits of information, finding out about the mythos and that type of stuff, right? But I don't want to take y'all down that journey. So I'm going to try to sum up Cole Borson as quickly as possible. He has a lot of similar powers and strengths as every Asgardian, super strength, super speed, yada, yada, yada. Now, similar to the last person, Baldur the Brave, I'm going to rule this person out because they are essentially kind of a long-lost sibling. They've already done that angle, right? This is Odin's older brother, a long-lost relative of Thor. And so I just don't see Marvel backsliding and doing that whole angle again, right? They already did that in Thor Ragnarok. And that's also part of the reason is that some of his myth and lore is tied into being prophesized for the destruction of Thor and Asgard specifically. Now, that little tidbit right there is the only reason that I even put him on this list. Well, I actually put him on this list for two reasons. Number one is he's supposed to be the destruction of Thor. So you could see that this character brings down the destruction of Thor, and in turn you would have old Jane Foster pick up the hammer. She's worthy, becomes the new Thor. But does Christian Bale look like he's older than, handsome McHandsome face Chris Hemsworth? Probably not, right? But, I guess you could use prosthetics and that kind of stuff. But to me, it's a long shot. I just don't see it happening. The next reason why I did add him on here was to kind of shift your mind and get to the thought process that Christian Bale could possibly play a villain. What? I know, right? So think about it. From just an acting standpoint, Christian Bale has played a hero, savior, and just the protagonist. He's always been a protagonist, right? I assume this role attracted him. And again, this is just a rumor. Nothing's confirmed yet. I don't think he's accepted a role. But once these things happen, it's pretty much a done deal. But anyways, yeah, I assume that this role attracted him because it's essentially the opposite of what he's done before. He's played our Dark Knight, right? So he's kind of following in some of the same footsteps that another Batman that is in the Marvel Cinematic Universe, old Michael Keaton as Vulture, which there's a whole nother topic that I want to jump into with that. Sinister Six. I'll definitely probably try to crank that out this week and get it out for you guys. That's a whole nother rumor. I don't even want to dive into that because I will get on a whole nother tangent, and I want to save that information and give it its due diligence. But yeah, so I think that that's the main reason that Christian Bale is attracted to this role, is because it's something completely different than he's done before. So I'm hoping that that's the case. So with that said, let's shift into the next person. A super interesting character, Gorr, Gorr. Nickname, the God Butcher. Say what? A God Butcher? Who has the capabilities of killing a god? Exactly. That's why I have this character on here. Super interesting. Let me jump into it. After suffering such losses, he didn't think gods could exist. But once he confirmed that they did, kind of cool how he found out. He was kind of wandering around and two gods were battling. Essentially a good versus evil. One clad in dark armor and another clad in golden armor. Well, the golden armored god was losing to the dark armored god. Well, since that gold armored god was losing, he asked Gorr for help. But Gorr, having all this hatred in his heart, it led him to the dark side. So he ends up picking the weapon of the dark armored god and ends up killing that golden armored god. And that was his first taste of god blood. So from then on, he was on a hellbent path to kill as many deities, gods, that he could. So hence the term Gorr, the God Butcher. Alright, kind of continuing on here. Gorr first battled Thor a millennium ago. Thor thought he had killed him, but basically the God Butcher survived and used God blood to travel through time and plucked a Thor from each of those timelines. So there was 3 of them. There's Young One, there's Avengers Thor, and then what's known as King Thor. He used them to create basically like a god bomb that would essentially kill all gods across all time and space. But of course, you know how the story goes. The Thors went out, they saved the day. But how it happens is actually kind of cool. A bunch of other gods prayed to Thor, made him stronger, and he was able to use that strength to defeat him. So that was kind of cool. They all prayed to him. But he also got help from a revived son of Gorr the God Butcher. And essentially, long story short, Gorr the God Butcher becomes the thing he hates the most, and he actually becomes essentially a god because of this bomb that he has. And then his son kind of dubs him a god of hypocrisy, become the very thing that he hated. And so, yeah, that's what ends up happening. So while I think this arc is super cool and super interesting, and there's a lot of potential there, I just don't see it fitting the bill. The Beta Ray bill. Huh? See what I did there? I'm sorry, guys. Anyways, yeah. It doesn't fit the bill. The Beta Ray bill. Shut up. No, just kidding. It doesn't fit it in a title of a movie called Thor: Love and Thunder. So that is the main reason why I am going to rule this out as a character that Christian Bale could play. Although I think he would be great at it just because of the fact that he's a phenomenal actor and could really tap into the devastated soul, a person who's lost everything. So I think he could tackle that angle for sure. All right, moving on. The next person that I think Christian Bale could play is actually a character known as Mephisto, the Lord of Lies. So who is Mephisto? I don't know how you pronounce it. Whatever. I'm going to say Mephisto. He's basically this Satan-looking like demon. He's super powerful. He's continually trying to take the souls of people, and specifically heroes, because they're the purest. And he's always chasing after one of my favorite characters, one of my favorite Marvel characters, specifically the Silver Surfer, aka Mr. Norrin Radd, who I'm super excited to see come in the Fantastic Four, I'm hoping. Or maybe a different series. I don't know. We're in space, so you can't have space stuff without the Silver Surfer. I'm super excited for him to come out. Anyways, I digress. Let's backtrack here. So Mephisto has fought against a lot of big superheroes. He's fought against Thor. He's fought against Daredevil, Fantastic Four, Doctor Strange, which this kind of ties into the reason why I don't believe he is going to be the character either. But let me read a couple things to you. It was Mephisto pretending to be Satan who bonded with the demon Zarathos to Johnny Blaze, turning him into the Ghost Rider. He also held the soul of Dr. Doom's mother until Strange helped Doom free her. Mephisto has a son, Blackheart, and a daughter, Mephisto, who sometimes work with him. Other demons impersonate him from time to time, usually weaker creatures who wish to trade off of his fearsome reputation. The Scarlet Witch once unwittingly used fragments of Mephisto's soul to give life to her twin sons, and Mephisto's reclamation of these fragments drove her mad, resulting in her altering all reality. When she finally brought the world back to normal, she did so by removing the mutant gene from most of the population of the planet at an event known as M-Day. This is super interesting. So I'll be quite honest with you, I didn't have much background information on this character, but what we do know is that WandaVision is going to be coming out sometime soon, and it's supposed to be a little bit different. Another aspect that I know about Scarlet Witch, and in my opinion, was that her powers were super downgraded as far as the Avengers were concerned. I mean, she has almost godlike powers in the sense that she creates a whole world. And so I think that this is what's going to happen, is that he's going to end up being the big bad in that WandaVision. And so he has to team up with who else? Somebody I mentioned earlier, Doctor Strange, which we know it's WandaVision, and Doctor Strange is going to be involved in that. So I think it's going to have kind of that satanic, horror-esque kind of vibe to it. And I think that that's who the big bad is going to be. This is just me putting two and two together. I have no evidence. I haven't seen this anywhere else. So I think that that's what's going to end up happening. But that's the main reason why I don't think that he's going to end up being the character that Christian Bale plays. Let's move on to the final character Christian Bale could play in the new Love and Thunder movie. The name of this character is Dario Agger. So who is Dario Agger? He's basically the CEO of this corporation called Roxxon. So as a kid, he grew up with his father, who was a wealthy person. He was a wealthy man. He owned his own island on the Aegean Sea. He's actually of Greek descent, but they had this island, right? And him and his family would spend their holidays together. His father, mother, brothers, uncles, cousins, aunts, everything. Well, and this is quoting a website, they all died screaming on that island, all but me. The pirates came during the night, what would prove to be the longest night of my life. I was 9 years old. I had never prayed before. I had never even seen it before. I prayed for death and power and revenge. I prayed until my bones ached and my eyes bled. I prayed the whole night through. And sometime in the early morning, my prayer was answered. But it wasn't the voice of God I heard ringing in my ears. It was a roar. A roar I eventually realized was coming from my own lips. So what I've read is that he, all of this ensues, and he was in front of this statue, and he was praying to a dark god, and him and this dark god made this this deal. And so he eventually becomes this Minotaur, and so he becomes this super strong Minotaur. So this is one of the reasons that I think that Christian Bale could play this character. He would have the alter ego, the Dario Agger role down. I mean, we know he can play the Bruce Wayne role really well. So that's definitely a plus for that. Also, I read in an article that the character that Christian Bale would be playing is going to need some of the same tech that Mark Ruffalo, aka the Hulk, used for his CGI. So this kind of putting two and two together, I see this as a strong candidate for that. Also, from a character standpoint, his strength could equal that of Thor's, and so it could make for some good battle scenes. On another topic, thematically, a big theme that they could do and attack is, in the comics, Roxxon Corp is basically like a shitty company. It's a corporation, right? They're fucking taking all resources, shitting on the planet, all that kind of stuff. So that's definitely an angle that Marvel/Disney could jump into. But that's a lot to put on the plate. So I think this is definitely one of the contenders. I'm still not 100% sold by it. It really could be any of these folks. I've ruled out a lot of people. Yeah, let me know what you guys think. Drop a comment and tell me what your biggest theories are, or who you think that it could be out of this group. Or maybe you have somebody different that you have in mind for Christian Bale in the MCU. All right, guys, thank you so much. One quick final note. If you are new around here, we have a Facebook page. Just search Nerd Nostalgia Podcast. It's a private group where our listeners can post any nerdy stuff that they want. Additionally, you'll find us on YouTube at Nerd Nostalgia Podcast. So give us a quick subscribe description on that. And then you'll also find us on Instagram at nerd.nostalgia. Oh, also, if you have an iPhone, iPad, or Mac device, do us a quick favor and drop a rating and a review on Apple Podcasts/iTunes. Or maybe you don't have an iPhone or an Apple device or whatever the case may be. Maybe your mom or dad or brother, sister, cousin, girlfriend, boyfriend, friend, whoever, if they do have one and you do listen to our podcast, just snatch their phone up real quick, click the 5 stars, and drop a quick review about the podcast. Thank you so much for coming and hanging out with us. I hope you have a great day or night, whatever time it may be for you. And remember, stay nerdy, my friends.